The Northern Territory has announced a floor price on alcohol in an attempt to stem abuse of the substance. The policy is in response to a wide-ranging alcohol review by former NT Supreme Court Chief Justice Trevor Riley. The floor price of $1.30 will apply per standard drink for all alcoholic beverages.
It was February 2018, wet season in Darwin. Robert Marcuso, owner of the local liquor store Once Upon a Bottle, had just found out about the announcement as he was reading the Northern Territory Daily News. He was in shock and disbelief. Robert had owned his bottle shop for close to 20 years. His business was his livelihood, and he was looking forward to selling the business in a few years' time and retiring. Robert wanted to understand how the price floor would impact alcohol consumption in the Territory. Robert thought to himself, will the price floor actually be effective? Knowing this, he could also determine if there would be any impact to the bottom line of his business. Robert knew he had no time to waste. He needed to understand current alcohol consumption in the Territory, the price elasticity of demand, and review his financial reports. First, Robert decided to look into the alcohol market in Australia. He discovered that in 2017, Australia's retail liquor market was worth an estimated $17.5 billion, which had grown by 3.4% on the previous year. With consumers drinking less alcohol, industry growth was a result of increasing consumer demand for premium beverages. Robert agreed with this assessment, as he had started to see some of his regular customers opting for more expensive wines in recent years.
Next, Robert took a look at the alcohol industry in the Northern Territory. Based on data he obtained from the Department of Attorney General and Justice, he discovered that in 2017, 2.6 million litres of pure alcohol was consumed in the Northern Territory. This figure translates into 11.5 litres per capita of pure alcohol consumption, which was 2.1 litres higher than the national average. Knowing this, Robert decided to take a closer look at some of the social and economic costs of alcohol consumption. Unfortunately, the data was not good. In 2015-2016, the total cost of alcohol misuse in the Northern Territory was estimated to be $1.3 billion. Robert learned that beyond the financial costs, alcohol-related deaths were 3 times the national average. For men, 13.4% of deaths are a result of alcohol consumption, compared to the national average of just 4.7%. For women, 8.9% of deaths were due to alcohol consumption, compared with 3% on average. Alarming figures, Robert thought. Robert learned that the price floor was intended to increase the price of cask and fortified wine. He went back to his 2017 financial reports and discovered that these product categories contributed to less than 2% of overall revenue and profitability. Robert was relieved. Maybe this wouldn't have as big an impact as he had originally thought. Armed with the information he had collected, Robert got to work on crunching the numbers.
First, Robert needed to calculate how the $1.30 price floor would impact alcohol consumption in the Northern Territory. To be able to answer this question, Robert needed to determine 2 things. First, which products have a price floor below $1.30 per standard drink? And secondly, what is the expected price elasticity of demand for such products? Knowing this information would allow Robert to estimate the reduction in demand that can be expected from the introduction of the price floor. An analysis of the products in the market revealed that both cask and fortified wine were below the price floor, priced at 43 cents and 39 cents per standard drink respectively. These products were the types of beverages with high alcohol content that the government was trying to target. According to wholesale data provided to the Department of the Attorney General and Justice, an overall demand of 7.4 million and 887,000 standard drinks were recorded for these product categories in 2017. In terms of price elasticity of demand, Robert located several research papers. One in particular developed by the Center for Alcohol Policy Research at the La Trobe University investigated the price elasticity of demand across different alcohol products. The study found that the price elasticity of demand for cask wine is estimated to be negative 1.35 and would be used in Robert's calculation. Using the equation for plus elasticity of demand enabled Robert to estimate the effect of the price floor. His calculations indicated that the government can expect a reduction of 81% and 84% in the expected demand for cask and fortified wine respectively. Once the price floor is introduced, there is expected to be a reduction of 87,000 liters of pure alcohol content, accounting for 3.3% of total alcohol consumption in 2017. Whilst the reduction in overall consumption of pure alcohol content is somewhat small, the government would be successful in almost eliminating the demand for cheap wine through its price floor legislation.
Next, Robert wanted to calculate how the expected reduction in demand would impact the revenue and economic profit of Once Upon a Bottle. To answer this question, Robert decided to apply a cost and profitability curve analysis. This approach would allow him to easily observe the changes in economic profit caused by changes in demand. To enable this analysis, Robert needed to divide his business into 3 average product groups and allocate cost and revenue accordingly. Next, he would need to develop production, cost, and revenue schedules for the 2 product groups expected to be affected by the price floor. Together, this information would be used to develop the cost and profit curves. A look into Once Upon a Bottle's financial statements provided Robert with information on 2017 sales, revenue, and corresponding cost structure. He groups the products sold into the following 3 categories. Group A, products unaffected by the price floor. Group B, cask wines. And Group C, fortified wines. An allocation of revenue and costs was provided across each of these 3 categories. Knowing this information enabled Robert to simulate how his business would behave in terms of average total cost and marginal revenue as the quantity of products change. Since Once Upon a Bottle operates in a competitive market, the marginal revenue is flat and equal to the price as shown by both tables. The curves for both Group B and Group C allowed Robert to understand the changes in economic profit both before and after the introduction of the price floor. The red rectangle illustrates economic profit before the changes, and the green rectangle demonstrates economic profit after the introduction of the price floor. As a result, there would be a 137% increase in economic profit for cask wine and a 123% increase in economic profit of fortified wine.
Robert returned to his armchair and began to reflect on what he had learned that evening. He now understood the rationale behind the government's intervention. By introducing the price floor, the government would effectively almost eliminate the demand for cheap beverages with a high alcohol content. However, Robert wondered whether the reduction in consumption of these products would have a positive impact in the Northern Territory. He thought, only time will tell. In terms of his business, Robert was relieved to know that his profit would in fact increase by 2.2% overall, since the increase in price would offset the reduction in demand. Robert was once again excited about the future, and his plans to retire were still on track. His dream of caravanning around Australia with his beloved wife was still alive.